I'm Dr. Vanita Rattan. I'm a doctor, but I'm also a cosmetic formulator specifically for skin of color. So today's video is what do you do when you burn your skin? So I have done this with both my curlers and my hair straighteners, and it's something that's very common. I mean, it goes up to 180 degrees, 200 degrees, sometimes even 220 degrees. And you know, sitting on the skin, that is going to cook the skin, literally cook the skin. I mean, water boils at 100 degrees, so this is extremely painful, but also very common. And so really we should know exactly what to do in the immediate aftermath, and then how do you manage that so that you don't get pigmentation later. The problem is when you burn the skin, inflammation happens. When inflammation happens, vasodilation happens. This means that all your blood vessels basically expand. Inflammatory mediators, those are signals that come into the area to tell the area that there's a wound here, inflammation is happening here, will then trigger the melanocytes, the cells that produce the pigment melanin, and then those cells start overproducing pigment, melanin, in that area. And so that's why you get a dark mark in that area. This happens mainly to skin of color. This doesn't happen to Caucasian skin. The reason is our cells are larger, our melanocytes are larger, and they are easier to trigger. We have to be a lot more careful with our skincare and with our skin in general. Even when we have a rash, we don't just get the rash, we get the pigmentation mark after. When we get eczema, we don't just get the eczema, we get the pigmentation after. And so we do need to know how to manage our skin, which is very different to how a Caucasian would manage their skin, which is the reason why this entire channel even exists. So in this video, I'm going to go through exactly what's happening to the skin, what you need to do step by step, and then Dr. V approved products. As you know, none of my videos have ever been sponsored, and they will never be sponsored. Also, I'm in the comment section for 1 hour at the launch of every single video. So make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when I'm here to ask me questions. You can also ask me questions on my Instagram. I've got 2 accounts, Skincare by Dr. V and Dr. Vanita Rattan, and also on my TikTok, Dr. Vanita Rattan too. If you haven't downloaded your free gift from me, your free guide for Skin of Color for 2022, please do. The link is down below. You may have downloaded your free guide last year, and I try and update it every year for you. So please do download that, because skincare is changing every year and offerings are changing, and I want you to be up to date. If that sounds good to you, give me a thumbs up. Let's dive right in. So step 1, you want to vasoconstrict. So you've just burnt the skin is hot, you need to cool the skin down rapidly with cold running water till your skin is almost feeling quite numb. Because what you want to do is you want those blood vessels to vasoconstrict. You want them to become narrow, so there's less inflammatory mediators coming out of those blood vessels, and there's less chance of the melanocyte being triggered. So that's key. The mistake people make at this point is that they put ice directly onto the skin. This is a mistake, because that can actually further damage the skin. So we don't want that. We want running cold water, and you can do it for about 2 or 3 minutes till it's feeling quite numb to vasoconstrict. The skin should feel cool. Step 2 is I want you to check the skin. Is it just the top layer of skin that's been burnt, in which case you can just deal with that at home? If there's any blistering or severe pain or change in color of the skin, then you need to go and visit a doctor, because it might not just be 1st degree burns. So that's not something you want to manage at home. The other mistake that I see people making is putting a balm on the skin. Now, a balm is a fatty covering. And what that does is it retains heat. It's the exact opposite of what we're trying to do. We're trying to cool the skin at this point in the immediate aftermath. So avoid any balms on the skin, avoid any cosmetics. So, you know, obviously makeup, avoid any creams with fragrance in them, any peppermint or essential oils type creams should also be avoided. Also avoid any alcohol wipes. You know, previously we used to think to sterilize the area with alcohol, but we don't do that anymore. Even in hospitals, they don't do that anymore. The reason being that it actually slows wound healing. It actually dries the skin, damages the skin, prevents wound healing from happening. So also avoid any alcohol wipes on the area. So I had a look online to look for a nail-safe cream that I would recommend, and I like Savlon Advanced Healing Gel and Soothing product. Surprisingly, it was one of the very few products that were NAF safe. I don't understand why fragrance is going into healing ointments. It's just there's such a lack of thought actually, and because there's a mismatch between the company that's manufacturing and the doctor. Often it's not the doctor who's making the cream and we just have to prescribe what is available. It's really strange. There will be a shift in this area too as there's more education, like there's been a shift in cosmetic creams in the last 12 months I've seen. Formulas have definitely improved. The same thing's going to happen in this area, but right now I'm not that impressed, I have to say. Now, if the skin is exposed, I recommend using a gauze with the shiny side down. So not the fluffy material side, the shiny side onto the actual wound itself. Then use micropore tape around it. I have one here, which I use when I do my cat eyes. But micropore tape basically is excellent because it's not too sticky on the skin. So it's worse actually when you put something that's too sticky on the skin, then trying to peel it off can lead to more damage of the wound. So micropore tape, I recommend, it comes off quite easily. The following day, apply that gel until the skin has started to heal. Once the skin has started to heal, then you can move to your fatty moisturizer, but I don't want you to move to it too soon. And you know, to put it onto a raw wound would be a big mistake. So wait for the skin to have healed before you start wearing a fatty moisturizer. Also at this point, please don't start putting tyrosinase inhibitors or anything on the skin until the skin has completely recovered. Once the skin is basically joined together, I do like Aquaphor Healing Ointment. It's a NAF safe product, and it basically just creates a healing environment for the skin. When you have water, so you want basically a fatty cream that has humectants in it, so water magnets, that holds water in the top layer of skin, but also has fats, emollients on top, which prevents transepidermal water loss. So you want the two together, and I like this particular product for that. The other big mistake that I see happen is if you have a blister, people popping the blister. Now this is a sterile sac. This is basically your body's way of creating a plaster. It's its own gauze and it's its own micropore tape. And then if you pop it and the skin hasn't healed underneath, you are introducing infection and bacteria into an area that was previously sterile. Let the skin heal by itself. I know it's satisfying to pop a sac of fluid, but just avoid it. Now, once the skin is healed, it may start to go dark because this is basically your melanocytes having been triggered, leading to PIH, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So for example, when I was 1 year old, boiling water spilled onto my chest and left a dark mark, which then I only managed to treat much later on because back then we didn't know about tyrosinase inhibitors. But if your children, if touch wood, it doesn't happen, but if it does, any sort of injury, cut, you know, burn with children, once the skin is healed, they can use the Kids Magic Cream, which is basically a tyrosinase inhibiting cream specifically for kids of color. So it's a very niche product, and it's only going to be beneficial for children who are, you know, have injured their skin. Now, if it's an adult who's burnt their skin, for example, from hair straighteners, then there are a few options for you. You can start off with either the Good Molecules Discoloration Serum, which I like. I do like the Alpha Arbutin Serum from The Ordinary. You can use that. If that doesn't work and you need something stronger, then you can use our Facial Pigmentation Kit, which does have 10 tyrosinase inhibitors in it. But this is not your first line. This is expensive, and you only use it when everything over the counter hasn't worked. The mistake at this point is not wearing your sunscreen. Your SPF 50 is really key at this point because the melanocytes are very sensitive and they are just waiting to go dark. And UV hitting the skin is going to definitely make them go dark. So mineral SPF 50 is what I recommend because zinc oxide is anti-inflammatory. So of course the one that I'm wearing right now is Inzincable SPF 50, which gives you no white cast. It's got zinc oxide in it plus niacinamide in it too, and MelaShield. So MelaShield is basically your UV stable tyrosinase inhibitor, so it'll work during the day and you can wear it under your makeup and it leaves no white cast. So the link for that product, Inzincable, is down below. If you do want to learn more about skincare for skin of color, do make sure you purchase your Skin Revolution book. I wrote this and it's been published by HarperCollins. It's available on Amazon, in Barnes & Noble, and also the link for this is down below too. But this is a reference library that I recommend every skin of color family should have in their household. Our children should understand what's going on with their skin from really 8 years old onwards. Teenagers should understand what's happening to their skin so they don't get the pigmentation marks. And also for us, us, as we age, our skin is constantly changing. By the time we get to 40, 45 years old, our skin is very different to in its 20s. We lose 1% collagen every year from 21 years old onwards. So it's something that we should really pay attention to, so we know we're purchasing the right products for our skin. And all the products that I recommend on this channel and in the book are of course non-sponsored. They will never be sponsored, and that's very important to ensure that we do have a reference library we can all come back to. What I'd like you to write down below for me are difficult skincare questions that you are dying to know the answer to, that you don't know the answer to. Because I feel like we've reviewed the vast majority of skincare available, but I want those tricky questions and I really want to upgrade all of our knowledge. So please do write them down below and I will make sure I do a video on each of them. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.